So welcome back to another one of the behind the scenes Dust Factory chats. I'm Ian and this is John. And today we're going to be talking about maybe one of our production missteps, but definitely a cool thing that we made.
Yep.
This is our Imperial Guard Lasgun, which came out of the idea that making prop weapons would be a lot more profitable than it actually is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
it kind of, I don't know. But it was.
I'm going to be honest. I think that this was one of the very first things we thought before the Dust Factory was a thing, before that name, before we did our marine stuff. We thought about making these. Do you remember that? Because we don't have the old
Yes,
I'm
sorry, we do.
We were going around like getting quotes for having like panels cut to go and make these out of like plastic board. Yep. That was actually so originally it was probably because that would be a neat thing to make, but it evolved into this.
Yes, I actually, you know what? I don't know why that wasn't in my mind when we started this video.
I gotcha.
But we, years ago now, actually 3-4 years, because that would have been predated the marine project.
Yeah. So that was like...
And we had a foam core Lasgun that's actually pretty much exactly like what you would have seen here, that we made and scaled, and we did the designs with very, very early concepts.
Yeah, that's like Ian's first SolidWorks project.
Yeah, sort of actually, no, it was. This wasn't even me, because this was when you were the only one who knew SolidWorks.
Yeah,
you were the one who did all the panels. Yeah, and so we actually went around, we tootled around, and we went to a couple like laser cutting, plasma cutting, water jet cutting places, and we had planned for this thing to be made out of like plastic sheet. Anyway, that got shelved a long time ago, and then after we had finished Marines, we thought, okay, well, we've got to branch out. We got to make something. And I love Warhammer. And it was like, well, that would be cool to like make something in that realm. And so it was like, okay, well, we just did a sci-fi soldier, and it's still like fresh in our minds. So okay, we'll make a Lasgun. Because, clearly everybody wants a weapon for their costume, right? Right? No, not necessarily. And so this was sort of the first project where we had learned a whole bunch from doing the Marine and doing the design for the Marine. So
this was post-battle rifle too. Right?
Yeah, sorry, this is post-battle rifle too. So really coming at it from the ground up with the idea that we were going to make something modular and maintainable, and with very specific production methods in mind. Like we were gonna 3D print, like FDM 3D print it. Like we were gonna resin print as little as we could, and then FDM print the rest. And once we knew that we could finish the plastic to a high enough quality, that was what we settled on. But that was sort of the idea behind this. And so in comparison to maybe like the helmet from our Marine video, where there's like quite a design evolution from the very first to the current one, this one has stayed largely compatible through even like the really early versions of the gun up until the current one.
Yeah,
because it's like, like all of these, maybe some of the tolerances have been let out.
Yeah, I think not let out actually. It's that one we tightened up, because I remember that plastic one was a little jiggly.
Yes, actually, that's what it is. So between some tolerance play, that's kind of it. But like the magazine from the beginning was like, it's always been this size, and it's only kind of gotten like a little bit more easy to make.
Yeah, it was like we streamlined it for sure.
Yeah, and it was stuff that we didn't think about from the very beginning, because well, I mean, like we tried to think of it, but it became apparent
there's always going to
as
be
you work on
up,
it.
Right?
It was like, oh, okay, that's going to change. So it's like here's not the very, very first one, but definitely one of the first ones. And so it's all PLA plastic. There's an upper receiver and a lower receiver, and the upper is 2 parts, and then they just they connect together. And I think literally on the next version, we're like, wait a second, that's silly. Let's put the rod in it like the battle rifle. So we just have a big piece of threaded rod that goes through the middle, and it gives you a nice bit of heft and also a lot of stability.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why we thought, glue, because this would have been
Yeah, right in the middle
Well-
of, wait a minute, glue sucks.
glue is horrible. Why did I glue this?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was probably, we're like, well, if we could go and make it lighter, we don't have to go and, cut the rod to size, right? There's benefits to doing it. And this would still be fine. We just haven't bothered to finish up the seam because we moved on to stronger materials.
Well,
right?
This was kind of like, we did this, and then it was like, okay, we learned a bunch, and let's make another one.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And I think this
never
was
been
the
finished.
next one.
Yeah.
Or the receiver, sorry. The upper from this one and the lower from this one are the next one. So that
Yeah,
shows
you're right.
how fast the design
Yeah.
evolved.
Yeah.
Or rather, I guess, how quickly it moved from like an initial to like a semi-complete product.
Yeah.
And it's like, there are little details that got changed. Again, just that we discovered as we were making it that changed. Rather than being like a conceptual, oh no, it should have this. It was just like, oh, it'll be easier if we, don't have this chamfer on these tangs, or this is a little thicker, something like that. But it didn't, so it's like the difference here, and I think you can actually take most of the parts off this one and put them on this one.
Yep.
So, which was also a big part of the design. So it was like from the very beginning, envisioned to break apart.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, I like Lasguns. They're cool.
Yep.
But they're also about that big.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, if I'm going to make a big prop, I'm going to invest a lot of time in it. It's got to be worth something. It's got to be interesting. And so it was like, what is a Lasgun if not a space fowl? And so
that's from back when we were doing our the old foam core one too. Was literally, we're just like, well, it's a big battle rifle-y, giant long gun. Yeah,
it's a big FAL.
It's a giant laser space fowl.
I have a deactivated FAL, and it was like, so it was easy to take it and put it up next to this and be like, oh, that's about that right size. This is the right way to make this and size this and hold this. And so, what we ended up with, because we really didn't want to make something that was like just a rescale of what you might find on a mini.
Well, we really didn't want it to be too cartoony and blown
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Like you see a lot of cosplay, like from the Warhammer world, and it is maybe mildly too faithful to the miniatures. And you end up kind of looking a little goofy. No shade to the people who do it. Obviously,
well, it's like they make astounding props, but the problem is I am, as much as you can tell I work out, I'm not built like a space marine.
Your head isn't like double the size.
Right, you run into problems scaling that way, and it's like if you have a big filled out costume like that, it works. But for like a normal human being, sometimes the prop is just a little too cartoony. It's like the problem you have with like Warcraft stuff, right? Like everyone's just enormous pauldrons and armor because they're built like a rescue hero and not a human being.
Yeah,
I mean, we wanted to avoid that and scale this. It's still chunky, obviously. It's still chunky and big, but it's more plausible. When you're holding next to it, it doesn't seem so cartoonish. Is really, I think that.
Well, it's like you want to look like a real person. And it's like your biceps aren't that big. You're just not proportioned that way. So it's like, okay, let's take this and we're gonna make it our own.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what we ended up with. And so it's like, I think most people will look at it and be, oh, it's a Lasgun. But there's a lot here that's our own design. And so it's like, we added almost all the details. So like the break action of like this opening like a FAL. That's something we added. There's a missing hinge pivot here, but it's on this one. Like just like all the screws and stuff, because I love just details and fittings and all that sort of stuff. So it was like, okay, this goofy space gun, let's make it a real gun.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do we make it a real gun? Well, it's like, okay,
prop
obviously.
Gun.
Prop gun.
Non-functioning prop
let's
gun.
make it
cool. Let's make it look real.
Let's make it look real.
The YouTube drone strike is coming for us right now.
Yes.
But
we borrowed a whole bunch of designs from real firearms to make it realistic. So, just stuff that can't ever be represented at 28mm scale. we take a little bit of license, and it's kind of like a high def remaster.
Yeah.
So it's like the grips and everything come from I think an MG34, and the stock is kind of like an FAL stock. Stuff like that, like the mag release. There is a little button on the miniature, and it was like, well, it's probably a mag release, so I made it a mag release. And
Yeah.
But it's like it works like an M4 mag release. So it like there's a spring and you push through, and it will release the mag. Because the other thing we wanted was functionality.
Yeah.
Because it's like there are a lot of big, just print in place models. Like I'm sure you could go and find a Lasgun model actually today. You could go print yourself an STL of one, but it's going to be a gigantic print in place brick. And it's not going to look very cool, and you're not going to be able to take the magazine out, and you're not going to be able to unfold the stock, and you're not going to be able to take it apart, and
not going to be able to go and like take off the barrel and make a sniper version if you want, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like, we wanted it to be serviceable, be modular, be cool.
Honestly. Yeah, it was kind of like designing a chassis for a whole bunch of other models.
Yes,
and it could be like something that was as complex as you wanted it to be, and so like you have your standard one, you have your underfolder. Just the way it's made, we can swap out like the front of this upper, and then you could get a shorter one if you wanted to.
Yeah, we still want to make our carbine actually.
Yeah. I had chopped off the front and made the file for a short one, but I just haven't finished one yet. And it'll be a little while before we do that, but it's in the works.
Yep.
But it's like it always needed to be something that could evolve. We were so hurt. Well, maybe not hurt, but there had been so much time and effort spent redeveloping the battle rifle.
Yes.
And I mean, actually, no, hurt is the right word, because John was hurt by me. We kept finding problems on the battle. Well, maybe not problems, but things to change.
Things that were worth optimizing.
Yeah, and it's like, but it just needs a little bit more here, or a little bit more here, or it would be better if this part was actually broken up into two. And poor John has soldiered through
10,000 hours of resin print slicing.
I am so sorry.
No, it's fine.
But it's like, all those things ended up being worth doing, but it was, if it had been built from the ground up, with that in mind, it would have been better. And this was that effort.
Yep.
This was the effort to make something from the ground up that, if you needed to make a change to a component, you could do it at that component level without having to redo or dig apart the whole project. And so it's like, here's the first one. The stock on the first one will go on the second one, will go on the third one. Yep. So this right now represents the current production one, and there are no more changes to it besides maybe some little things.
Yeah, it's not like the 10 minor variants of the Marine out there.
Yeah, and it's like there are like maybe little things like the thickness of, I think, the trigger from here to here got a little bit bigger, just so that it was more robust. But that's it. You could actually still take this entire grip out and
drop it in.
Right? Like this is the grip, right? And the grip sides just screw onto this, and then it just plugs in, and all of them are compatible together, which we just wouldn't have been able to do with any of our other props, because it was part of the learning process of how do you make not just something that you make once, but how do you make a product that you can maintain. And so it was they're all compatible. And so going from this one to this one, I think really the major change was to the sight block. Like if we're gonna talk about the only thing that, well, besides the underfolder.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, is the only thing that's really changed is the sight block. And so it's like first generation, you look at the Lasgun and it has no sights, and then you play Darktide or something, or like another Warhammer game, and, people aim down sights, but there's nothing really there. And I like Darktide, but I don't really like the weird little hollow sight thing, and it doesn't really feel right. And so I was watching Forgotten Weapons, and Ian was talking about this pistol that had a gutter sight, and it was this sort of concept of this very quick acquisition optic, or not, I guess not an optic, but geometry to the top sight of a pistol that let you kind of intuitively shoot. And I was like, okay, well, I will adapt that. And so from the very beginning, the guns have had that. And so there's like a little gutter sight you can see under the tape, actually.
Yeah, just use that one.
Yeah, so this would be like the second one. And so there's the gutter, there's the little nub that you would line up on, and it's got two little indents for fluorescent diodes, which we added later. And then it was like, this is cool, but it was just a little too bland.
Yeah, it needed some spice.
And so we came up with, well, what's another thing on, well, you know, guns have windage and elevation. This one doesn't really need elevation because it's a laser gun. But, you know, windage, maybe I guess your crystals are misaligned or whatever nonsense is thought up to drive these things. But so we moved to this one. So this is the current sight block. And again, to highlight that interoperability, this one can drop in there. It doesn't matter. But this is the one we currently make.
Yeah.
And so this one has a crossbolt, and you can adjust for windage. And it's a real functional windage sight, and it's got real fluorescent diodes in it. So you know, if you line this thing up in the sun, you'll actually be able to see it.
Yep.
And then it was cool. Like, okay, you know, we had probably 90% of the features that we wanted.
Yep.
That we had first envisioned. And then the last thing was taking this, because Lasguns just have a tube on top, and it was like, okay.
That's actually a whole other thing where, depending on the interpretation, the tube does different things, right? Maybe it's a sight, maybe it's a rangefinder, maybe it's a laser dot for your laser gun.
Yeah, you really depend.
There's a Model Ian found a little while ago where it's like it's just being used as a carry handle.
I think, yeah, it was off of an old Katachan infantry squad, and there's actually some posings of the arms where they're carrying it with a carry handle, and it's like...
So we had to kind of choose what the interpretation of what this was.
And it was like, so, you know, we sat down and we thought, okay, it could be a sight. And then when you have the thing mocked up in front of you and you put your head down and you're kind of like this, trying to look down it, and you're like, nope, it's not a sight.
No.
It's not a sight.
No.
So we just settled on it being a gas tube, which is another gun word, but, you know, It doesn't really do anything.
Oh, it's for your laser gas, of course.
Oh, yes. The infamous laser gas that I huff.
But I will say, since it's Griebling, you know, one thing that I really love that I must give Ian credit for, he hasn't mentioned, is this rotatable dial on the back is terrific. Once this became a resin part that can do its own business, that was excellent for just a lovely little detail to, again, spice up that whole back area.
Yeah, and so this is the original one, and it's just... This is actually like a really, really legacy part.
Yeah.
Because this I think actually is the gas tube from the second one ever made. And so it was sort of like, oh, we have so much of a thing done. Let's just spray this and be done with it. And so it got like a light sand, and then it got put in the gun, and it was like, oh, that's done, right? And we kind of sat with it done like that for a little while, and there was like, no, it should be like this. Yeah. And so this is now resin, and so like the little plug at the end, which is absolutely borrowed from FAL.
Yep.
And the thing at the end are now resin. And so it's like you get really min-maxed in the design, where it's like all this stuff that's crisp and requires nice fitment is resin, and everything else is plastic.
Yeah. And that way it just lets it be stronger, lighter.
Yeah.
The one thing we found on especially our first edition battle rifles, is it uses a lot of resin, and the detail is terrific, but also it's pretty heavy and it's not as strong as bolted together. PLA was our first ones, and now we're printing them in our favorite carbon PET, and it's like super tough.
The very first battle rifle doesn't have a rod in it, does it?
No, it doesn't. My old one doesn't.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
Like, it still holds together fine.
Yeah.
But it's just, it lacks that little bit of safety, security. It just honestly made the gluing up harder.
Yes. Well, and it's like, you know, resin that makes fantastic prints.
Yep.
But you can't really guarantee that these surfaces are going to mesh up, and it was just way easier to put the rod through and cinch the whole thing together. It makes it much more secure.
Yep.
It's a much better prop. And to highlight that, I think we were painting the second one, and this was like leaned up against a counter, and we had just gotten finished painting a whole bunch of detail parts for it, and it fell over, and only the resin thing broke.
Yeah, the resin barrel cracked right there, and we glued it together and resanded it, and I think this might actually be that barrel.
It is.
And you literally cannot tell.
Yeah, it was.
It was like a perfectly clean break, but the rest of this is fine.
Yeah, and that's because the threaded rod doesn't actually go
right
through into here.
Yeah.
So it was like, as part of making this modular, the barrel assembly is like this. Yeah. Actually, I wonder if I have a barrel assembly.
I think there was one.
I'll leave the frame. One. Yeah. Yeah, but it was like it's only this much, and then the threaded rod ends here, so it joins the upper but nothing else. Yeah, there you go. So this is kind of like, so you got this trunnion block, which also has the geometry for the bayonet, and then it just plugs in. Actually,
yeah, plug it in right there.
Plugs in like that, and then there's screws, and that's it. So it's like, if John had mentioned the sniper variant, and so it's like, well, we can just make a longer barrel, right? Do you want a different, like, flash hider, whatever it is? Yeah, we'll make a different flash hider. It's incredibly versatile.
Yeah.
Not that we've actually had any cause to make it versatile yet.
Yeah. We're putting it together.
Yeah. And then, like, because it all came together so quickly, the only real update that we've done is we've made some metal parts. So it's like, a lot
of these things, as the rifle got stronger, it got a little heavier. Yeah. And the plastic parts we had made were adequate, but it just made us feel better to know that this was not going to go anywhere, especially as we started getting into the carbon PET G, which is just heavier.
Yeah, and we wanted
unit volume. We wanted it to be super tough. Yeah. We figured we might as well just make all the connector pins super tough.
Yeah, and it was just, anybody who 3D prints and makes like functional things can tell you that, like, plastic on plastic is not great.
Yep.
And like any kind of rotating camming surface with layer lines is just it's just not really optimal. And so it was like, okay, we have a lathe, let's use the lathe.
Yeah.
And so here's a brass cross pin that we turn down, and it'll just fit in there. Actually, the tolerances on this older one might be mildly different.
Coming in to defend my machining honor, this pin does fit. It was just slightly misaligned.
Yeah, just enough to make a fool of me. And then, we've got these, which are the push buttons for the magazine release.
Yep. I think out of anything, the big one is the takedown lever.
Yeah.
Because that's right here where there's this half moon surface. And it really, really has all that force on the end of a big lever arm. Again, it never actually failed on us. We never had any problem. It never even sagged. But we just felt so much safer with the brass. It just...
Yeah. And I mean, like, we could turn it out of aluminum, but brass is nice. Brass is
cool. We can black it with the rest of the other ones.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. You can do some chemical stuff. And so, like, here's another attempt at making like a takedown lever. Because there's like a bunch of different ways that you could make this, and it was like, what's economical? Like,
yep.
Do we really want to pass on milling, drilling costs to someone who's buying a plastic plastic Lasgun?
Yeah.
And so we opted for like some hybrid stuff. So it's like, some of this is still plastic on plastic, right? Like, this concept of this cross pin actually just has these squared off surfaces, and then it plugs in or screws into the handle, instead of the handle being like a
bent form milled out brass part.
It makes it just a little bit easier, and it's much better. Like, you can see some of these older plastic mag releases, and because you gotta pick your orientation to minimize your layer lines so that this prints nicely, because at the end of the day, quality is still hugely important. But then you also have to say, okay, well, how much time am I going to spend sanding this thing? Is the sanding going to take it out of round? Is it going to make it structurally weak? And it's just you spend a lot of time just futzing with it, and it's like, no, I will use the tool that I have to make the part correctly.
Yeah.
And so that one was that. And so like that represents the metal parts. In addition to this, represent the final Lasgun stage, which is just kind of like on pause right now, but there's not really anything else to be developed on it. It's like we were browsing. Yeah,
yes.
actually, I'm sorry.
No, there's not.
Well, sorry.
In terms of prop, inerts, cosplay Lasgun.
Yes. Well, it's like I played airsoft, and we have people who are like always in our comments saying, like, can I take this airsoft thing? I would like to go airsofting, and it's like, well, we could make an airsoft gun, I think. Yep. And so when I was looking for parts to make an airsoft gun, I actually saw like a folding stock, like an AKSU folding stock, and I was like, I wonder if that would fit. And the answer is yes, it does fit. It fits really well. In fact, I only had to do like the tiniest little modification. So only the lower receiver is different, and it's just lengthened by, I think, a centimeter, and that's it to accommodate the folding stock. And then it gets ground out just to accept the button, but that's it. and it just works. It's just like, oh, okay, I just want this stock. And it's like, I'm being ginger here because I want to show you, but like, and it's just got to hop over that little button. But there you go. So that was really fun, and it was just like I bought it on a whim, and then when you look at the models, like I love Steel Legion, so I have a whole bunch of their old miniatures, and they all have folding stock. Well, they don't all have folding stocks, but a lot of them have folding stocks, and it was like, no, that's actually just what's on the Mini.
Yep.
Okay, and so we stuck it on, and that was the end of that. Right. But we also, in the same order, got a whole bunch of airsoft parts. So this is an a Cyma AK version 3 gearbox, Aries motor, and so this is eventually
you'll notice it's something similar.
It's very similar to what we've got here. It's like there's like a minor amount of redesign, but ultimately this will plug in the exact same to one of the guns, and it's like that's a want. Like we have all the parts, we have the hop up, we have the barrel, whatever, right? And most essentially a tracer unit.
Yes. Well, it's like you can't have a laser gun that doesn't look like it shoots lasers.
Yes.
So obviously we had to go and get one of those.
You're obligated to use red glow in the dark BBs.
Okay.
You have to do it. Yeah. But that's like coming down the pipe. Well, it's hard to say because it's just like I said earlier. It's making or running the business is weird because you find out what people want. Or, sorry, people are very eager to tell you what they want, but what they want and what actually is like worth designing is different. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're very happy that we have these. They're very cool, and it's like
people have bought the Lasguns. People have loved the Lasguns. We expected them to go faster.
We expected all of our weapon props to go faster, and that might be kind of an effect of social media's adversity to showing weapons.
Yeah.
But I mean, here they are. If you want one, we make them.
Dustfactory.ca. You said the word. YouTube's already killed us now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, no, but they can't take away my shilling.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They can't take away Dustfactory.ca.
Yeah.
They can't bleep. Well, actually, maybe the true downfall of society will be when they bleep that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so because a big project like this, like on the one hand, it mostly fits and mostly drops in, but it's also like an entire engineering project in itself, right? More complicated than just making the prop. And the problem is, if we want this for us, it's one thing we can allow some, it doesn't quite work all the time, right? Or it's like, you have to go and re-shimmy this. If we do want to make this available, it has to be like bulletproof.
Yeah.
Right? So that takes a lot of time and effort to make sure that all the tolerances are perfect, if it's hot, if it's cold, if it's wet. And that really slows down things that normally on like a prop like this you don't have to worry about in the same way.
Yeah,
It just has to survive falling off the shelf.
we have
Right.
to make a guarantee,
Yes.
right? And it's
So
like
that really has slowed down this progress, even though most of the pieces are all here.
Yeah, and I mean, like it's quite expensive to develop. I mean, like anybody who plays airsoft is going to be able to tell you that airsoft guns are expensive.
Yeah.
And so like buying all the parts, having them shipped here, and whatever, and doing all the R&D and whatever. Our airsoft is an as expensive as you want to make it thing, and so it was like. It's one of those weird things that you discover when you're making a product, because it's like you gotta make it bulletproof for the consumer. It's like oh god, when that Marine helmet, we had shipped one Marine helmet to a guy, and it was absolutely abused in shipping. I don't know if somebody like smashed it, but USPS gave it their finest treatment, and it separated like the entire bottom from the top, and it was like that was a gut-wrenching moment, because it's like, okay, we're not making like amazing margins here. How do we?
Well, especially back then.
Yeah, exactly. Especially back. How do we actually follow through and like make it right for this person? It was like, well, we have to. We'll make it right, but also we have to make sure that everything that we make is going to be bulletproof.
Yeah.
Or as bulletproof as we can reasonably guarantee.
Yeah.
And these are just airsoft guns are abused.
Yeah,
they're just really abused. Like you get tossed around. Everybody, even pot metal, right? Like, I mean, pot metal is said with derision, but it's like even it's probably like a couple orders of magnitude stronger than like 3D printed plastic, and you still get breaks.
Yeah,
and it's like, you got to balance the cost and the durability and the guarantee, and it was like, if you want one, we'll make it, but.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's kind of been backburnered as we work through our other things, and basically we're trying to finish off other parts of the costume that goes with this. So related to that, Ian, tell them about your leather work.
Oh yeah,
because this has been awesome.
So I like a number of years ago, I was like, I kind of want to get into leather work. Like, it's cool. I like vintage military stuff. I've always I want to repair that. I want that knowledge. And so for Christmas, I got like a leather, like a Chinese sort of, beginner's leather package off of Amazon, and that was enough to set the interest. Yeah. And so it was like in the last couple weeks, I've been like, okay, we're developing more of. You gotta cut that. Yep. In the last couple of weeks, we've been developing more of the Imperial Guard costume, and well, it's got to be leather. It's right. Yeah. It's just that's the look. Yeah. And it was like, okay, we don't want to use we don't want to buy surplus because it's just not appropriate.
It's either ratty or horrifically expensive or not reliably sourced, and there's no way to go and make that repeatable.
Yeah, exactly. Way, and it's like, okay, I want to make this, and I want to make it reasonably fast. Yeah. And I want to make it so it's not just one bespoke item. I want to make it like a whole series of kits. And it was like, okay, well, let's sit down and design it. So I got out all my leatherworking stuff, and I was like, okay, I was looking at my pouches in my collection. I was like, okay, this should be wet molded, right? So I made a form in SolidWorks, printed out the form. We already knew the size of the magazines, and it was like, okay, and we just did it, and here it is, right? Beautiful. Well, I don't know. Maybe real leather workers out there.
Yeah, the problem is as we go into more disciplines, there's always going to be someone else who knows better than us and laughs at us. But it's like, I helped with this, and it was literally the first time I've done leather work, and I think it turned out reasonably good. Yeah. So, and it's certainly going to be tough. I'm not worried about that. Yeah. There is no way that this stitching and this leather gauge is going to die on you. So.
Yeah, and
it's fun, it's gorgeous.
I mean, as I said to John when I was sort of talking about this, the best part is that you get to walk into a con and smell like leather, which I'm sure is a huge winner with the ladies. No, it is. Yeah, we wanted something for this, not something adapted. Yeah, because it's like with the Marine costume, it was like we built everything from the ground up. We made the battle rifle pouches, and it's not just like a battle rifle mag loose in a pouch. It's like specifically for it, and it fits and it looks right. And so it was like, how do we do the same thing for this?
Yeah.
And it, you make the templates. We made them in CAD. We made them all repeatable, right? And there it is. So it's like, as we go forward into 2026, I hate using that marketer speak, but it's like, as we go forward into 2026, we're gonna make the leather patterns available. We'll make these if you want them, but leatherwork is kind of an intensive thing.
Yep.
And if you are a good leather worker and you want to make this, we're going to make the patterns available. We'll make the forms available so you can, I don't know, maybe we'll charge for them. It's, it is a box.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you want the form, like if you want to try leatherwork, we're going to make the form available, and you can either download the STL and print it yourself, or if you really want, you can buy it from us and we'll ship you the form and then you can do it yourself. Yep. Or you can just buy this from us. But it's one of those things where it's hard to make something of this quality and offer it for sale at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Like, this is fine for us.
Like, it was fun. We're doing it for our own costumes, but it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, and just there's so much. Like, Dust Factory is not a leather business. We're a prop making business. So it's like, this is cool, but it's not our main goal, and so we don't have all of the tools to make this as industrially efficient as possible.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more of this leatherwork as the kit comes together, but it's nice to be able to go and just make something that fits with the prop, because it's literally designed bespoke to do it. Like, they're never going to find a pouch that has the perfect little cutout in exactly the right spot for the magazine doodad, because why on earth would you have that?
Yep. And it was, we're going to do more of it. So it's like, we have for the helmets, we have for the bayonets, right? It's and we'll make those available, because it's just, if you like this stuff and you like what we do, then we want to facilitate that.
Yeah.
It's,
It's funny you mentioned the bayonet. We haven't talked about this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably spilling out of the frame here. Here is a prop, not that sharp, but also don't poke your friend with a stick.
Yeah. Because, like, what is more iconic than Imperial Guardsmen and fixed bayonets?
Yeah. So obviously that had to be a thing. So this is our detachable bayonet that Ian whipped up, and it's just gorgeous, especially with the big resin printers we have. The ability to make these really nice kind of pseudo Bakelite handles. I love the look of that. It's really great.
We took some effort and we went and found the right kind of fittings for it and everything. So it's like, if you go and you look at military bayonets, hopefully you will look at this and be like, that looks right.
There you go.
Yeah, and there's a spring powered little plunger in there, so it locks on.
Yep.
It's pretty nice. And I do have a scabbard that I'm working on.
Yep.
But it's like, you can now fix bayonets and charge the enemy. Don't
charge the enemy with this.
Yeah, don't do this at a con.
Don't do that. That's one of those things you're not allowed to take that to a con, almost certainly.
Yeah, they might.
We should make a nice safety rounded foam orange one, and then maybe you could get away with it. But basically, this thing looks real. And though it's not sharpened, it is pointy. Don't do that.
As your parents might say, this will put your eye out.
Yeah, exactly. So we're very proud of it. We like the look, but obviously we know we're going to use it responsibly. So if you wind up with one of those, be careful with it.
Yeah, we should make a rounded one. I didn't really even think about that. Yeah. But that's another thing. Again, like some of the, what's actually on the docket to develop at the Dust Factory changes from week to week.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that might come in a week. It might come in 2 weeks. It might come in a month.
Yep.
Who knows? If you're interested in it, we'd love to hear. But ultimately, we're heading into. I mean, right now not to date the video, but we're heading into con season.
Yeah.
And so the goal is revamp marine costumes, and not necessarily work on other things.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I see it, because it's looking me in the face,
Mm-hmm.
One of the other really cool things is
we
have a fire selector, and it's just retained by the handle. And to prove that I am not lying, there you go.
There's mag release.
And
left cold.
yeah, exactly. can't get one over on me. And so, we make nice magazines. They're kind of hefty. They're multi-part because John hates sanding.
And I hate masking.
Yes, and he hates math. I mean, it's just basically Dust Factory policy now. Is like make something that comes in as many parts as it has colors.
Yeah, actually, it's just like do the color blocking on the piece because then there's a panel line here because it's a panel.
Exactly. I mean,
right.
You look at so many people's cosplay, and they've got panel lines and stuff that looks functional, but you get closer and it's just like it doesn't actually. Mostly because it doesn't need to. Yeah. But for us, it does.
Yeah.
That's always been
for the way, I guess, for our design philosophy of how we put things together, how we like to make things, how we think it's best for strength and manufacturability. That's just the way we lean.
Yeah. And it's like, it does translate into a more expensive item.
I don't know that it does, because it also saves us an awful lot of cleanup work.
That's true.
I think actually it saves a lot. Can you imagine if we had to go... Remember when you were Wizard Van painting the first Marine costumes? How much masking we had to do on those helmets or all that. Like, imagine if you had to go and paint a Lasgun that was all just one big block. How long would that take to go and mask out the surfaces and clean that and fix your ends?
And I mean, that highlights...
I think it saves time.
It does, but it highlights one of the big differences in cosplay of, I need this for me versus I need this to sell.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think we hit this kind of neat equilibrium where it's like we make a really, really high quality product and you could buy it.
Yeah.
And it's not just something that we hoard for ourselves, even though these are mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, actually, one last thing. Where's that other mag? It's in here.
Yeah.
It was cleverly hidden in the magazine. So this is a funny thing. We were sitting down and talking, and we thought to ourselves, what is funnier than being able to charge your phone? Yeah, let's see if this has any. No, it's I need USB.
Oh, it's C to C.
C to C.
Well, it's over.
Yeah. No. You don't get any demonstration. But this is what is funnier than being able to like whip out at a con your magazine and charge somebody's phone. So we found these panel mount USB-C jacks, and there's just like a battery or what do you call them?
Power pack.
There's a power pack in here, and it just ports out to here, and so this can go in your gun just the same as any other magazine, except you have the ultimate flex of walking up in the con, ejecting a magazine, and charging somebody's phone.
Yeah.
Which is just, I don't know. We haven't done it, but nothing in my mind is funny.
I'm just glad that it's there.
Yes. It's very funny. So that kind of sums up the design philosophy and sort of like how we approach this one. It was certainly a lot, in ways, easier.
Yes, I think it was easier and definitely built on the lessons of a lot of past other projects.
Yeah. I
think it's come together. I'm still very happy with it. Just seeing you, hold the thing. It looks cool. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is just sort of emblematic of what we do as we've learned.
Yeah.
There's so much to designing things like as products that you just don't think about when you're just making a one-off.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, honestly.
It's cool.
So, I mean, I don't really know what else to say here besides that if you would like a Lasgun and you think these are cool, or either, come check them out on dustfactory.ca.
Yeah.
And you can take home your very own Lasgun. We'll have the folding stock ones up as well as the straight stock ones.
Yeah.
Might have more variants in the future if people are interested.
Yeah.
And also, I should say here, we do paint them whatever color you want.
Yeah. We've been holding up a lot of green things, but it's just...
You're not pigeonholed.
It's our standard green. We'll do whatever color you want. We've done them worn. We've done them factory fresh. Doesn't really matter. So that's all easy.
Yeah.
So there's the one guy who was talking about the Woodstock. I might still see if
Yes.
That's another sort of feature group. There's a lot of things that people have ideas for, but also there's a CNC mill sitting right there, and that would be kind of cool. Yeah. But don't hold your breath on that either. But anyway.
All right. Well, we will
Thanks
see
for
you
putting
next
up with
time.
our rambling.
Yeah,
I'm talking over you as you're wrapping up. I'll shut up.
That's okay. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for enjoying the rambles.
Yeah.
And we'll be back some other time with one of the other things that we've designed.
Yep. I think we should do the battle rifle next.
Okay, we'll do the battle rifle.
Perfect. Don't quote me on that.
But yeah, well, we'll see. We'll try.
Oh yeah, you're right. Right.
There's talk about feature creep. There's stuff there.
Yeah. Okay. Don't hold your breath on the battle rifle. We have other things to finish on it. Again, it'll be great.
All right. Well, we'll see you all next time.
Cheers.